There is a novel written by Umberto Eco named In the Name of the Rose. Later, it was also made into a movie. Why I stated this novel is I wanted to discuss a scene in this novel where a young Franciscan friar comes to this Benedictine abbey to make inquiry into some murders that were happening in this abbey. So this very first meal with this community there, a monk in the abbey happens to laugh out loud. And there was this blind monk there who stops this monk saying, "You're not supposed to laugh out loud, especially monks, because Jesus did not smile." Okay, that is something very strange. But then this Franciscan friar, he was not ready to take it. Well, then he says, it's also not said in the Gospels that Jesus did not smile. So I think we can smile. Very often we are caught up in this cliche of religious beliefs or so-called religiosity that we understand to be religious, we need to be a gloomy guy. There's no celebration. There is no outburst of joy. Exactly the same picture is seen in the gospel of today, because the disciples of the Pharisees and John the Baptist, they come to Jesus and say, "Why your disciples do not fast?" Jesus says, the guests of a wedding feast do not fast when the bridegroom is still there. It's a moment to celebrate. According to the Jewish tradition, the wedding celebration and the joy of wedding, it even surpassed the religious fasting. They could keep aside the religious fasting just to celebrate the wedding, because that is the joy of wedding. It's clearly telling that even joy is also a part of spirituality. That's why Padre Pio says, our God is a God of joy. So do not bore your God with your tears. Very interesting. My dear brothers and sisters, let us not be, I would say, let's not be held up by this cliche of religious beliefs and ideologies, which necessarily takes us away from the way of the gospel. No, gospel is not about being gloomy and being sad. Gospel is also about being joyful and celebration. Of course, not to the extent of deviating from religious faith, but to the right amount. Because a person who has experienced God, he is always in celebration. He is always in joy. Not to be a gloomy person, but to be a joyful person. That's why I think Saint Teresa of Avila also said, "I am more afraid of a sour-faced nun than 1,000 devils." Let's learn to be joyful people, because ultimately our God is a God of joy. God bless you.